I think it's imperative that the United States restore its constitution, simply because when you look at the Illuminati network of operation, and you look at the 3 city-states, and that whole setup, America, the District of Columbia is the military center, and it's America that is being used to go out and subjugate a lot of countries. And this is nothing against the American people at all. The American people are great, and it's a great nation, but it's the people that are in control of the government. And these are the same people. This goes through Europe, it goes through England, Australia, Italy, France, Germany. I mean, all of these people, they're all involved. It's this global network. It's not located in any country at all, really. It's spread its tentacles worldwide. We've had this division promoted to us so that you ask an Australian and they'll say, oh, the Americans, who cares what they do, and the Americans think, oh yeah, down under, who cares what those hicks do? And everyone has this opinion of another country that this is our problem, forget what they're doing sort of thing. It's not. This is a global issue and it needs to be addressed in a global manner. And all the people of the world need to stand up and address this. Walk to the Capitol and say, we want change. We want the criminals arrested. And we know the system's corrupt. Let's deal with it. We have the power. The people are sovereign, not the government. The government is not sovereign. These people have legislated themselves into positions of aristocracy. And these are public servants. These are put there to do the will of the people. And yet they put on these suits and they write down some words on a little document with a letterhead and they have a little ceremony. And suddenly we've got to do all this stuff. What are we, stupid?
Yeah, apparently so. Max, I noticed about 20 years ago something that got my attention. I could sit down with absolutely anyone in the States or from another country, and I could, in a matter of a half hour, find myself enjoying myself with them. It didn't matter what their religion was, what color, what anything, where they came from, how much money they had. I always found myself with a new friend after about a half hour, and it struck me odd that the only time we have issues in this world is when we put one of these New World Order politicians between us and the other guy.
Exactly, mate. There is no division among the people. We are all the same. We can't go. You want to go and bomb the Iranian people? I mean, you don't hate the Mexicans. Hate the system that puts the Mexicans in the position where they've got to come and do what they do.
Exactly.
And they've got to cross the borders and take this cheap labour. And if you were in that position, I guarantee you would do the same thing. But don't hate them for it. Hate the system that created this situation and fix it. Don't just complain about it. Fix it. Because we have the ability to fix it. We could just change it straight away. They only have the power that we give them. If people just stop complying with it, what are they going to do? Your taxes are illegal. Stop paying them. Everybody stop paying them. I mean, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. And I mean, like David Icke said, I heard an interview a couple of weeks ago where he said they've started charging people £75, fining them £75 if they put their wheelie bin out on the wrong day. So everybody in England should put their wheelie bins out on the wrong day. Everybody should put it out 6 days a week and not pay the fine until they change the law. Simply stop complying with it. They say jump and we say how high. Yeah. And then we wonder why we're living in a situation of virtual tyranny. Dissent is the highest form of patriotism. Thomas Jefferson.
Yes, it is. And could you speak a little bit on television? I have since my daughters, they're get close to 20, my older ones, I always told them the television was the false prophet. and so we don't watch hardly any TV, and they never have watched very much. It plays a significant role in this New World Order, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. TV is a hypnotist. It's mass hypnotism. That's what it is. It's in the corner of every house, and it just feeds disinformation. It pumps out alpha waves, which put people in a trance state, and then they just pump you full of disinformation. Half of the news is manufactured. I mean, we saw in the first Gulf War when they were supposed to be in Saudi Arabia reporting there in a set in the studio. I mean, you can't believe anything on there. And apart from the mainstream media, the news that they feed you, well, you've got to look at where it's all from. I mean, the television will give you a movie and they'll show you reporters out there acting like superheroes to get these stories. But in reality, that isn't what happens. In reality, they get their news from either the Associated Press or Reuters, whatever you call it, Reuters. And you find, if you look at the paperwork, you find that the Associated Press is actually owned by Reuters, and that Reuters is wholly owned by the Rothschild family. So what you're getting is the news that the Rothschilds want you to have. And it's like I said in that movie, when you control the money system, you control the government. And when you control the government, you control the people. When you control the money system and all the corporate media, you control the money, you control the government, you control the people, and you control every single thing that they believe to be true. And these people also control the education institutions and all the universities. That's why they put all the universities together, so they can teach everybody the wrong history. And critical thinking is completely laughed on and frowned upon. The people who tend to make it are the people who regurgitate whatever's in the book on command. And these news reporters on TV, they don't know what they're reporting. They're just reading a cue sheet in front of them. They don't know if any of it's true. Nobody investigates any of the stories. I mean, if you go and investigate them, you find that it's all wrong. Nothing ever happens the way it is told to you on television. I've been in enough situations during my life that have been newsworthy and have made the television, and I've seen what's happened, and I've seen what's on TV, and it was nothing like what happened. And that's why should we think that it's any bigger scale? And in fact, it isn't. And when you really look at things, I mean, even when you investigate this latest conflict in Georgia and Russia, I mean, Georgia were the aggressors in that conflict, but everybody who watches television thinks Russia just invaded Georgia. It's absurd.
Well, now, on top of the television, let's dive in real briefly on fluoride, because I believe it's playing a significant role in what I see with people over the last 20 years, and that is this sheepish, blank look that they have. They're just going through life as though they're just functioning on chemical and electrical impulses. They're just a blob. They don't seem alive or anything. Do you think fluoride is doing part of this apathy, is responsible for this apathy?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Like, fluoride was used by the Russians in the gulags to keep the prisoners docile. It was also used in the death camps in Germany to keep the prisoners docile. It just makes people apathetic. You get a little bit fuzzy in the head. You can't quite think too clearly. And when you look at a lot of the processed foods, you look at all the numbers and the chemicals and all this stuff in there. And all of this stuff, it's a chemical dumbing down of the population is what it is. And the fluoride in the water plays a major, major part in it. You couple that with the alpha waves from the television, it's just bombardment, the sensory bombardment from all directions, and they do it in a physical way as well with the fluoride. And fluoride doesn't prevent tooth decay at all. It actually causes dental fluorosis. It causes a myriad of health problems. It's been linked to brain lesions, bone cancer, all sorts of things. And I mean, I'm not a particularly religious person, but why is all this stuff in our water and food? Did God make a mistake with our water and our food that we have to add chemicals to it to make it better?
Great point. You know, after I watched your movie, I went across the street to the lumberyard here. I live in a very tiny town, Max, and here in the middle of the country, and I went across there and I looked on the rat poison, and it was exactly as you had in your movie. It is fluoride. It's
fluoride. That's rat poison. That's what it's. Fluoride is a product of aluminium production. It's a toxic waste, and they find it very, very hard to dispose of. So they sell it to the government, and they put it in our water supply. It's a toxic waste. I mean, calcium fluoride is a naturally occurring compound. It's okay in small doses. It won't hurt you. But sodium fluoride, which is what is in our products and what is in our water supply, is a toxic poison, which is a byproduct of aluminium production. It should be avoided at all costs. Absolutely avoided.
Yeah. Just like television. We need to avoid the fluoride and the television. We need to stop paying taxes. I talk about that all the time. And then stop our consumerism. Because
absolutely.
You know, we just buy trinkets until we can't fit them in our house anymore, and then we go and rent a storage unit 10 miles away, and we shove them in that box. It's insane.